to the Michael Rivero What Really Happened radio program.
And aloha, America. Welcome to the show. It is Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday, end of the week. What a week it has been. The webcam is running. The chat room is open. And on that note, we have been having some serious interference with our website over the last week, and we finally got a handle on it earlier today, so the website's back up, back running at its former speed. We're open for business, so tune on in. Read all the stories about all the things we're going to be talking about here today. Of course, obviously today is the anniversary of the 9/11 incident, event, whatever you want to call it. I hesitate to call it a terror attack because it doesn't seem that that's what it really was. It was a hoax. It was a fraud. It was a papier-mâché mask soaked in kerosene and set on fire to scare us into going out and doing battle with the wicked witch of the West here. So all kinds of stuff, and we're going to be spending today's show and tomorrow's show focused on 9/11 and the various questions that remain unanswered about that event. Our phone line is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Donovan's in the control room, his hand hovering over the phone, and here we go. Now, obviously, the U.S. corporate media continues to support and defend and protect the official story. We saw in recent weeks National Geographic aired yet another in a long series of let's make fun of those who dare question the government type TV shows. Which, as I understand it from the Nielsen numbers, nobody was watching it anyway. And I don't know why they keep wasting money on this stuff, but I guess they've got it to do here. Meanwhile, the foreign press is starting to take a more obviously neutral tone. They're not taking a side one way or the other. Some are even going the other way. Pravda is saying September 11th attacks, the greatest fraud of the 21st century. And on this, I would have to agree with them. Meanwhile, of course, we're watching what Charlie Sheen is doing. And Charlie, I know a lot of people were very upset about the very awkward way they launched that little 20-minute interview request with Barack Obama, and it really did upset a lot of people. But there is no question that Charlie Sheen and Alex Jones did get the issue out there. News media have had to report it. Yes, they spent a lot of money on press releases and public relations to get it out there, but it did get picked up. And we are seeing in the European press where Charlie Sheen is being treated, I mean, yes, he's a movie star, and he's a name, and he's not acknowledged to be an expert on anything, but then he's not really making any declarations. He's asking questions. And the value there is that he's made it acceptable for people everywhere around the world to ask these questions. It is now a permissible topic of discussion. And that really is the victory here. Yes, some of the foreign press have come down bashing on Charlie Sheen, particularly those in Great Britain and certainly in Israel. But the rest of the world is saying, he's asking some very good questions. And we're going to be asking and talking about a lot of those questions here today. Now, probably everybody has a topic that or an aspect of the 9/11 case, which is the item that convinced them the government was lying. And for me, it was President George W. Bush at the Booker Elementary School in Sarasota, Florida, reading to the kiddies about My Pet Goat. And sitting there for minute after minute after minute after minute after minute after Andy Card came in and told him the second plane had hit the tower. And we know from Bush's own speeches after the fact that that was the moment at which he knew the United States was under attack. And a lot of people have wondered why, when his job is Commander-in-Chief of the United States, did he not get up, excuse himself politely, and say to the teachers and students, I'm sorry, I'd love to read about goats, but I have to go do my job. Nothing scary about that, nothing terrifying about that. That would have been what we would expect him to do. That's what we pay him to do. We, the taxpayers, do not pay the President of the United States to sit in a classroom for a photo op reading about My Pet Goat. He's supposed to get up and go take care of the country. And his defenders and supporters have said, well, he didn't, he knew the system would take care of it, which they didn't. And he didn't want to upset the teachers and blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of manure, basically, is what it is. And I'll tell you why. What is missing conspicuously in that whole situation in the school is the United States Secret Service. We know they were there. The president does not go anywhere without his protective detail. There were 12 United States Secret Service protective detail members in that school with him. Now, consider the situation, the tactical situation from the point of view of the Secret Service. There is, in theory, because of the ongoing NORAD drills that were simulating hijacked planes, nobody knew which were real and which were fake. So there's an unknown and unknowable number of airplanes flying across the country, crashing into buildings. The presence of President Bush at the Booker Elementary School had been in the media 3 days ahead of time. So supposedly our terrorists, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, knew the president was going to be at that school. And there's an airport only 4 miles away. What the Secret Service should have done, and if you've seen the video of how fast they moved when Hinckley took a shot at Reagan, you know the Secret Service is trained to move fast, not ask questions, not think, not care about how they're impressing anybody else around them. Grab the president, protect him. That's their only job. That's their only job. So, the Secret Service should have grabbed him. They should have put him in that bomb-proof, armored limousine with the thick Lexan windows, polycarbonate windows out there, and just start driving in any direction, random, simply to foil a possible inbound. So if a jet plane is going to hit that school, the president's already gone. Get him out of there. Get him in any direction, doesn't really matter. Random direction, drive like heck. That didn't happen. By keeping the president in that classroom and keeping those students and teachers with him, were they not making potential victims out of all of those kids in the event that there was another terrorist airplane heading toward the school? The Secret Service should be acting as if the president might be in danger. They don't wait to know it for a fact. The assumption is the president is always a target. But from the actions of the United States Secret Service, it's obvious they knew for a fact that President Bush was not a target that day on 9/11. How could they know that? They had to know what the targets were going to be. There's an old Sherlock Holmes story called Silver Blaze, in which Holmes solves the mystery by noticing that the guard dog did not bark during the commission of the crime. Therefore, the crime had to be committed by the owner of the dog. Otherwise, the dog would have barked. That Secret Service protective detail, those are the dogs. And they did not bark. Therefore, the crime was committed by the owner of the dogs. That revelation, that understanding, that video of Bush sitting there minute after minute after minute waiting for time to make his speech, to me is the clearest proof that the U.S. government was part and party to the 9/11 plot. I think they had help from another country, but definitely the Secret Service and President George Bush were in on it. Otherwise, Bush would have been grabbed and taken out of there by the U.S. Secret Service. So that was the incident that convinced me. And so far, nobody on the other side, none of the liars, have come up with a convincing counter-argument. This is always the one where everybody says, well, that's a good one, and I don't have an answer for that, but hey, how about those Lakers? Let's go talk about them for a while, and the denial keeps on going. Now, another interesting aspect of this is, of course, what is being termed the mystery plane over Washington, D.C. And that is that the media was reporting, and in fact, if you're watching the real-time replay that has been on MSNBC, they've talked about it again. The mystery white plane that was seen flying over Washington, D.C. 8 minutes before the plane crash into the Pentagon. 8 minutes before. Video was taken of this airplane, and from the silhouette, what they are seeing, and I put up an illustration of this at whatreallyhappened.com yesterday, what they're seeing is the National Emergency Airborne Command Post, otherwise known as NECAP, the Doomsday Plane. Well, if they had time to get that over Washington, D.C., why didn't they get the fighters up there? We're going to take a break. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
America's #1 source for independent talk radio for over a decade.
We are the GCN Radio Network. Go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go right to the phone lines. Eric from Virginia. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What is on your mind today?
Aloha, Mike. Six Semper Tyrannis from Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a long-time listener, and I've called in a few times to you. I just wanted to say on the anniversary of 9/11, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all the truthers out there that have been spreading the message for all these years. I've been able to see the impact that it's had over the last 8 years. Just as far as an encouragement to everybody out there, I know that a lot of truthers get down and kind of go in the dark and in the closet.